Without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first speaker, Layla Dickerson. She is the regional director, the New York regional director of the New York Regional Census Office. Layla?
All right. Thank you, Lynn. I just want to make sure you all can hear me. Are you are we good, Lynn?
We can hear you.
Good, good, good. Okay, sometimes our sound goes out a little bit. So thank you so much, and thank you for that awesome introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I am really happy to be here today, and I will be co-presenting along with Decennial Specialist Zakir Ahmed and our Tribal Relations Specialist, Mickey Wildcat, and we'll be providing some updates that we're excited to share with you about some ongoing surveys, about our 2030 census, about our 2026 test, and our activities with the tribal nations in New Jersey. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and just want to make sure we are there. Okay, perfect. All right, and let's minimize this here. So what I wanted to do was show on this first screen here, for anyone who is new to the conference, I wanted to share that the Census New York Regional Office actually consists of 8 states, which is, and Puerto Rico. So it's shown here on our screen here. But I'm going to start my presentation by sharing some on-the-ground data collection activities and updates that are happening in New Jersey. All right, so one of the things that I wanted to make sure was shared with you all was that in addition to the American Community Survey, the Current Population Survey, the National Crime and Victimization Survey, our National Health Interview Survey, and our Consumer Expenditure Surveys, we are also in the field right now for the Rental Housing Finance Survey, which collects the data on financial, managerial, physical characteristics of rental properties nationwide. And this survey will conclude on November 19th, 2025. We're also preparing for the Survey of Income and Program Participation, which is also known as SIP, which is a nationally representative longitudinal survey that provides detailed insights into income dynamics, employment, household composition, and participation in government programs. And that is set to begin February 1st, 2025. And then next we have the American Housing Survey, or AHS, and that is sponsored by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, and conducted by the U.S. Census Bureau. And it is our most comprehensive national housing survey in the United States. AHS will now be an ongoing survey beginning May 2025. So going from once every 2 years to monthly or ongoing. So this will increase the frequency of the housing data estimates, and it will continue to be longitudinal, returning to the same housing unit periodically throughout a 10-year panel. So let's just talk about really quickly some of the obstacles that we've mentioned before and how it's not an easy task for our field representatives to collect data. And so data collections, our collectors, they face several challenges due to, the New Jersey size and diversity. And some of these constant challenges include public awareness. And so believe it or not, there are residents who are unaware of these ongoing surveys that I mentioned earlier and some that I didn't mention. And so they continue to confuse these surveys with the decennial census. And so that leads to skepticism about its legitimacy. So to address this, we continue to partner with local police departments and grassroots leaders to help spread the word about our surveys. And then along with preparing our staff with some necessary tools and talking points to help address these concerns that can be found also on our census.gov. We also encounter anti-government sentiment, and that has increased in certain areas throughout New Jersey, especially during this presidential election cycle. So these strong anti-government sentiments complicate outreach efforts. We do our best to mitigate these concerns by sharing the purpose of the survey and how responses are opportunities, for the respondents to be voices and for their voices to be heard on issues such as these surveys that helps our nation overall with measuring income and housing quality and crime victimization and more. And then one other thing I want to mention was about the technology and like the growing use of the video doorbell and other surveillance devices that has led to households increasingly avoiding answering the door or responding to survey attempts. So that leads us to access issues. And so our attempts in gaining access to multi-unit buildings such as apartments and senior living facilities, these can be challenges. And also due to, the locked entries and uncooperative building management at the front desk. We also face a challenge with some facility management where property managers and owners are uncooperative. They deny us access to individual units and refusing to provide information about vacancies or resident contact details. And then lastly is our safety concern. So some field representatives sometimes feel unsafe in certain areas, even during the day. So for their safety, they avoid making visits at particular times in particular areas. And we do our best to match our FRs with assignments in the areas that they live in. And so how are we addressing these concerns I wanted to share? So ways that we mitigate these respondent concerns include some of these three key points. One is just the authenticity of census communications. So the Census Bureau, we will never request, full Social Security numbers or bank account details or passwords or anything like that. And to verify the authenticity of our communication, we ask that respondents, contact our regional census office or the Census Bureau Customer Service Center. The other thing is the ability for the respondent to verify a census employee's identity. Census employees will always show an ID badge, and that includes their name, a photograph, Department of Commerce watermark, and an expiration date, and they will always carry a Census Bureau issued electronic device. And so while representatives usually work between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. local time, they can often accommodate requests for visits or calls outside these hours. And also to confirm their identity in the field, a respondent can check the Census Bureau staff directory or reach out to the regional office. And then lastly, concerns about multiple contacts. The Census Bureau will follow up through in-person visits, through mail or phone calls. And so this follow-up can occur if responses are incomplete, if they're missing, and for some quality assurance purposes. So certain surveys, such as the Current Population Survey and the National Crime Victimization Survey, involve multiple interviews to monitor changes over time, like income and housing. And although we strive to limit the number of surveys in a household that is selected, it is possible for a household to be selected for more than one survey. So this is the information we wanted to make sure we're sharing with everyone in some of the challenges that we experience in the field while collecting data, as well as how we're mitigating them and the things that we're doing ongoing to keep our responses up. So what I do want to show is the components of what it looks like for the New York Regional Office areas in New Jersey. So this is what the New Jersey region looks like. We have 10 teams by geography in New Jersey, and they're all working hard to collect quality data from the field. Our largest team is in the Morristown, Northwest New Jersey. Then we have, want to make sure. There we go. And so with these teams, we have staffing. We have 10 field supervisors that manage each of these teams or that supervise each of these teams. And we have about 140 representatives working in this great state of New Jersey. And our largest staff, again, is in that Morristown area. As you see, we have approximately 25 field representatives out there collecting data or doing data collection for the major surveys and other surveys, one-time surveys as well. And then I wanted to share just a little bit about our survey vacancies, because I always like to leverage an opportunity like this of being able to reach out to a large audience to share that we are always hiring, because we always have vacancies. So we're currently recruiting for field representative vacancies throughout New Jersey, and a few office positions in New York, in our New York regional office. And that includes some language-based positions for ongoing surveys that I mentioned earlier, and for the upcoming SIP survey. So if you know anyone looking to do some civic duty, working for the census is a very fulfilling position as a field representative or any other position. So we just need help in spreading the word that yes, we are hiring and we offer paid training. And then I'll just go into, we would like people from our communities, from your communities, to join the census team. So details about these census jobs can be accessed at the usajobs.gov, which you'll see on the screen, as well as those who are interested in working in the New Jersey area and in the field, in the office, along with some headquarters jobs, can sign up to social media for Census Bureau job updates. And this is listed on the screen as well. And I'm sure Lynn will share the presentation so that you can have this for reference. And then lastly, I did want to make sure that I share that many of you are aware of our expert data dissemination staff and how they can customize a workshop for you and your team. So these workshops can be facilitated in person or via webinar. And our staff are well-versed in the data tools available on our website, including Census Academy, Census Business Builder, and My Congressional District, and others. So the data dissemination staff, they're available to our partners for events to help educate people on the uses of the data. Now I'm excited to turn this over to Zakira Ahmed, a decennial specialist out of the New York Regional Office, and she's going to share some really good 2030 census updates. So Zakira, are you good to go?
Good afternoon, everyone. Leila, if you can keep presenting, because from my end, I'm not able to present. So if you can keep the slides on, I'll just go on from there.
Okay. And just let me know next slide.
Sure. Can everyone hear me well?
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you well.
Okay, great. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Zakira Ahmed. I'm one of the decennial specialists with the New York Regional Office. So for the 2030 census update, for 2030 census, we started planning in 2019. So right before the 2020 census, we already started planning for the next decennial. And we are currently in the design selection phase. This phase involves conducting research, testing, operational planning, and activities to guide the selection of the preliminary operational framework for the 2030 census. So we plan way ahead of the decennial census. So throughout the planning process, the Census Bureau incorporates stakeholders' feedback. We had several stakeholder meetings, public input, and a broad spectrum of expertise to guide to our to the decision making. The design of the 2030 census will continue to evolve through 2029. Next slide, please. So for the 2030 census, the research projects are grouped into 5 focus areas we refer to as enhancement areas. These enhancement areas guide the development of the 2030 census research agenda. The first one is the enhanced data collection. For example, in this project, we one of the things we are trying to test is the mobile questionnaire assistance centers. We wanted to see how it can support the communities better, how we can make it more available to the public to respond. Also, we are looking at improving our internet self-response and non-ID data collection. We are also testing to see, we are also researching on paper questionnaire request strategies, how we can make it easy for people to request paper questionnaire when they prefer to respond with a paper questionnaire. Then the next one is modernizing group quarter enumeration. In this research, some of the operations we would like to improve are automating our group quarters and transitory locations operations. We will be focusing on data collection during in-field enumeration. We wanted to make it more automatic, make it automated so we can minimize the use of paper questionnaire. We also wanted to create internet self-response options for non-institutional group quarters like college students. We also wanted to research on integrating data processing with data collection in the near real time. For example, we proposed a central and readily accessible decennial address repository that allows to near real-time updates, like address matching. We wanted to do it in real time and updating our addresses. Also improving the proxy responses with administrative records. The other research project that we are working on is streamlining operational support infrastructure. We would like to improve how we recruit, select, conduct background check, and train. As you know, these things take a long time to do. We wanted to make it as quick as possible so we can onboard people quickly. We also want to research on work-at-home staffing models for respondent contact center operations. So it will be more feasible to utilize the work-at-home workforce for respondent to contact center operations to add flexibility for respondents. We also wanted to explore continuous data collection and aggregation. We are, as you know, undercounted. Children are often undercounted, so we wanted to use undercounted children using administrative data. Sorry, can you hear me? Somebody's mic is muted.
I can still hear you.
There is feedback.
There's some static.
Okay. So the 2030 census, I think something's not muted. The 2030 Census Research Project Explorer can be used to learn more about the research projects being conducted in each enhanced.
Zakira, we can't hear you. There's a lot of static, and I'm not sure if that's your line or not.
I don't think it's. Yeah, I muted my line. It's not from here. Okay.
Okay, Zakira, are you able to
Can you hear me now?
unmute yourself? Yes, there you go.
Okay. All right. You can find more information about all of these research projects on our census.gov site under 2030 census. If there's a lot of research going on, and you can find out more detail about each of these projects on our site. Next slide, please. So we'll be testing the different components of our research project before the 2030 census. The 2026 census test will be first of two major on-the-ground tests we conduct in preparation for the 2030 census. The U.S. Census Bureau announced the sites for the 2026 census test. We will have 6 sites. They will be in Colorado Springs, Colorado, Huntsville, Alabama, tribal lands within Arizona, Spartanburg in South Carolina, Western North Carolina, and Western Texas. And the next slide, please, Leila. And these test sites will cover a mix of areas with high percentage of historically undercounted populations, historically low response rate, tribal areas, rural areas, limited internet or cell phone services, a high percentage of households that don't receive mail directly to their addresses, seasonally vacant housing, a high number of multi-unit structures and hidden units in urban areas. Significant, and also we will look at areas where we have significant housing growth, universities, correctional facilities, military housings, and other types of group quarters. I wanted to mention that it is not that in one location we will test everything. We will test a few things in certain locations and few in others. There's going to be also a national sampling where we would test in different locations throughout the nation. Next slide, please. So many of our partners are involved in our LUCA operations, and we wanted to let you know that the Census Bureau relies on a complete and accurate address list to reach every living quarter and associated population for inclusion in the decennial census. LUCA usually provides an opportunity for governments to participate in reviewing their address list. We invite the government units to look at our address list and then provide updates for those lists. While the 2030 census LUCA will not start until the 2027, but governments can choose to start participating now. You can see the link. It's already on our website, the 2030 census website. And we have an email address where any government unit that's interested in participating or getting ready early, please reach out to them if you have any question. You can send them an email and ask how we can get involved. Next slide. So the next slide has our contact. Our regional office, Leila mentioned our recruitment information in New Jersey. You can reach out to them directly, and there's a data dissemination program, and how people can find out or verify about a census employee. So that's all I have for 2030 updates for today. I will now turn to our tribal partnership specialist, Michelle Wildcat. She is currently covering New Jersey and doing outreach to our New Jersey tribal land. And Michelle, I'll turn to you for tribal updates.
Thank you, Shakira and Leila. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good, yay. Thank you. Again, my name is Mickey Wildcat. I am the Tribal Relations Specialist out of the Denver region. And currently I cover New Jersey. I have several zones on the East Coast side. I'm going to share my screen. I have a little short slide, so I will share it. Bear with me. Let's see. make sure. Okay. Hopefully I'm doing this correctly. There we go. I'll go here. I can't see you all, so let me know if you see the presentation.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. Again, I am Mickey Wildcat. I'm Navajo, Pawnee, and Yuchi. I live in Boulder, Colorado. I grew up here in Colorado. I was born in Oklahoma. I have worked within our tribal communities through here, traveled to a lot of our Native communities on the west and Midwest side. So I'm just going to go over a little about our program. It started in 2022. This is our tribal relations team. I'm the newest one that has joined. I came April, the end of this year, end of April of this year. So I'm the newest one that joined the tribal relations team. Back in March, I believe, we won a gold medal in excellence. So that was pretty cool. Shadana Sultan, who I don't know if she was able to make it on. I know she was sick yesterday, but she is our tribal relations coordinator. Charles is out of the Denver region. I am Mickey Wildcat. I'm out of the Denver region as well. Elena, she's out of our LA region. And Bernice is out of the Chicago region. This just kind of goes over what our program is. So we talk about tribal data tabulation, just acquiring the data. It's where you live, not if you're based off enrollment. So everybody, if you you don't have to, if you identify as a tribal nation on the census or any of the surveys, you get to input the tribes that you are part of. Such as myself, I'm 3 different tribes, so I'm able to put down those 3 tribes. Part of the other, basically, you look at as our program, we are the tribal liaison between.
Michelle, sorry, I'm going to jump in for a second. Is it possible to have your PowerPoint be the slideshow option? Yeah, like this, so people can, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Just because of,
You're welcome.
thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. Is that better? I hope that's better.
Yes, thank you again.
Awesome. Thank you. No, thank you. Learning all the tricks and trips. And so, as I was saying, our biggest thing is basically, if you look at it, we are the liaison between the census and the tribal nations, along with urban partners, urban tribal partners, and we share that information of what the census goals, along with our establishing that government to government relationship that tribal nations have. So we really engage our partners. We keep them updated on not just the decennial census, but ongoing surveys that Layla had mentioned that are always happening. And a lot of times tribes don't realize that there is ongoing surveys that are happening. So we just that communication to let them know what's happening on their reservation lands. We also talk about the upcoming 2030 census and how we're preparing. Sakira had talked about all the different 2026 sites that are happening, and we have 3 tribal lands, Eastern Cherokee, and then the 2 that are in Arizona, San Carlos and White Mountain Apache. We have part of our thing, we talk about geographic programs to our tribal partners, letting them know along with DDS how to access the data, how to update their maps. And the other component that we also do is the cultural awareness engagement, and that's more for internal for the census. So doing workshops, presentations to our regional offices, all the way down to our field representatives. And then we also do this in other directorates. You can see a map over here. It just kind of shows Elena is in the orange. Me and Charles are out of the Denver region. I'm the yellow. Charles is the green. Elena is, Bernadette is in, Bernadette is in the blue. And then because we don't have any specialists out of the Atlanta, New York, and Philly regional offices, we cover the rest of those. So along with the Denver region, I also do Alabama, Georgia, and then Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, and I believe that's it in Vermont. This just kind of talks about regional numbers. Just talking, the graph to your left just talks about on and off tribal land. As you can see, it breaks it down by region. Denver, for the most part, most tribal members, they live off reservation lands. I believe it's like 80% of us live in urban areas. And you can see that Denver is the biggest with the population. Go to the right, it kind of puts it in another perspective of a pie. Denver is the gray, so it just shows you where our ANIAN populations are at. In the LA, New York region is the blue over here, so there's 9.17% of the population is over in the New York region. And this just kind of goes by New Jersey tribal numbers. Basically, these are the two tribal nations that are state recognized in New Jersey. Overall, there's estimated of 80,997 that hit either identified in combination with or by themselves with other, they might be other races as well. And each one of these, we'll share this slide deck and you can have a chance to click on these links and it'll take you to the data. One thing that is new, this came out in September of last year. It's the 2020 Census Detailed Demographic and Housing Characteristics File A. I know it's a long word. Basically detailed DHCAA. So basically before that, it was based in tribal groupings. And so if you were Apache or if you were Sioux, it just put it into those tribal groupings. Now, because they took the 2020 census data, they're able to break it down to our tribal affiliations. And so now you can look in the New Jersey area and see not only just the state recognized tribes, but other tribal nations that are living, people that had identified that are living there. And there's a link below so you can click on that as well. And there's mapping capabilities with heat sensor. And like the other two, Layla and Sakira had mentioned, DDS is an awesome resource and they're able to break this down for you as well. And with that, I say Ayahe, which is Navajo for thank you. And my information is below. Shadan is our coordinator. Our information is below as well. So if you have any questions, like I said, I'm brand new, so I'm just making my way out to New Jersey. So I'd love to connect. If there's any tribal nations on here, please drop me a chat and I'll drop my information in the chat as well. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Layla, Zakira, and Mickey. Always a great presentation every year. We appreciate it.